Well, here we are again, the two of us, the gruesome twosome, which you know and love. In our world and on our planet, it is the 4th of May. So May the 4th obviously is Star Wars Day, which is why we have the t-shirts, Luke Skywalker and Luke, I am your father. This week's tutorial song has absolutely nothing to do with Star Wars, so we've got that out of the way. This week's song is a little earlier than the Star Wars started. The song dates from 1970. It was written and recorded by David Gates under the band name of Bread, and the song is called Make It With You. It's a pretty little song. It got to number 1 in the States. I think it reached number 5 in the UK in 1970. But you will be relieved to learn that it's not difficult. It's especially in the wake of last week's stuff, which I'm sure stretched you as much as it stretched us. So we've come back to slightly more familiar ground. But because the song dates from 1970, I decided that this week we would use my lovely Risa all-electric solid-bodied tenor ukulele. And it's lovely, it really is. It plays exactly the same as an ordinary ukulele, but it's a lot heavier. It's a solid body. So I find that the strap is essential. And can anybody tell me why, no matter how carefully you put something away with the strap on, the strap will always tangle the second you take your eyes off it? But anyway, that's better. It doesn't take the weight off. It has steel strings on it, so if you're not used to steel strings, you might find that your fingers protest at being fretted on steel strings. They're much thinner and therefore sharper on the pads of the fingertips. But it tunes exactly the same as a standard tenor ukulele, GCEA. And this particular one has 3 different voices because there are 3 separate pickups. There's that one there and those 2 adjacent. And in general musical terms, when you're playing a stringed instrument, you can discover this on a ukulele. The nearer you play to the bridge, the harsher and more trebly the sound gets. And conversely, the further away from the bridge that you play, then the more mellow the sound becomes. So if you strum hereabouts, it's a lot more mellow than this. You don't feel, the effect isn't as severe on an electronic amplified instrument, but those 3 pickups definitely affect the sound that comes out of the amplifier. So when it's in the 3 position switch here, when it's in position 1, it's quite a mellow sound because it's taking it from that pickup. Position 2 is a slightly harsher sound because it's a mix of those 2 pickups. And then when you get to position 3, it's a lot twangier sound because it's a mix of those 2 pickups. Also, the other control on this, there's a volume control, which is just to turn the knob and it gets louder or softer. And the other one is a tone control, which again takes some of the treble or some of the bass out. I usually play them in the mid-range rather than at one extreme or the other. But anyway, that's the electric tenor Risa ukulele. You play it exactly as you would a wooden hollow-bodied uke. So that brings us to this week's song. It's not difficult. Its main theme, although it's in the key of C major, a lot of the C chord that is played throughout the song is a C major 7th, giving that B note, which you may play wherever you like, but the first position, 0, 0, 0, 2, works fine. Now, if you know the song, you'll know that the melody has that little trill in it, that hey, hey, do that, which is one of the reasons I chose to use this, because electric steel strung ukuleles have a much better sustain than the hollow bodied nylon string. So I can do this and it rings and stays there for quite a while.
On this one,
there's much less sustain. But what we're doing there is a hammer on and a pull off. And although you would normally play your C major 7th probably with the ring finger, if you did that, that means you're trying to hammer on and pull off with the little finger, which of course is the weakest finger. So you may find it better to use probably your index finger for that C major 7th. And then you can use your middle finger, which is a lot stronger, for the hammer on and pull off. And you see, you can hear that sustain. Excuse me. So, the C major 7th chord is followed in the introduction and in the verse by a D minor 7th chord. And again, the first position works perfectly well here as 2-2-1-3. And if you want to play almost chord melody for that introduction, try that hammer on and pull off on the C major 7th. You're just on the adjacent fret, the 3rd fret. And then the melody takes you to your middle finger on the 3rd fret of the E string for the G, then the E string open, and then we're going to a D note, which of course is in the D minor 7th. Then it goes back to an open E. So if I put all that together, hey, hey, have you ever tried? Now you can do that over or under a C major 7th and D minor 7th chord, and it works like this. So you can, if you want to do that in the introduction, you can do it in the verse, or not at all, as you prefer. But the introduction is simply those two chords, C major 7th, D minor 7th, one bar of each, and then repeat. The first line of the verse is exactly the same, C major 7th, D minor 7th, a bar of each, repeat. And then we get to the second line of the verse, which goes to an F chord. Right, now you can play your plain 2-0-1-0, but in this song, as in quite a lot of songs actually, it sounds so much nicer if you add your little finger onto the 3rd fret of the A string to put that C on over the top, like. And in this song, it fits very well because you're practically in the melody. I may be claiming on rainbows. So, nothing complicated so far. Just remember to put your little finger down on the C note, 3rd fret of the A string. Then we go from the F to an E minor, then to a D minor. Nothing there to worry you so far. That's better. At the end of the second line, we've got a little embellishment. It's a G7th with a suspended 4th, or G7 sus. And the finger position for it is 0-2-1-3. Now, I have always found that the easiest way to achieve this is to double fret the A string, the 1st string. And what I mean by that is I would play my ordinary G7 shape, 0-2-1-2, like that, and add my little finger onto the 3rd fret of the A string, as you would put it for playing that F with the added C. because again in this song that G7 suspended is followed by a plain G7. So if you've already got the G7 shape there and you've added the suspended fourth, then you can just take it off. And there we go. So that second line comes out like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I may be climbing on rainbows, but baby, here goes. So the G7 suspended and then remove the suspension. The third line of the verse, well, C major 7th, D minor 7th again, twice. And then we get to the fourth line of the verse, and then we've just got, there's a little climax at the end of this line, actually at the end of the verse, before it drops away back to the repeated line, I want to make it with you. And that little climax means that although we're playing in the key of C major, the little climax suddenly goes to an A major chord, so it sharpens the C. You get a C sharp there. So it really gives the whole thing a lift. So we're building to that little climax, and the way we do that is to go via an E minor 7th in the second position. Right, so we're going from an F. Now, E minor 7th, you can play 0, 2, 0, 2 as you might normally do so. That's what the chord books will show you. But if you take a D minor 7th chord and slide it up 2 frets, you've got a nice E minor 7th. So it's 4, 4, 3, 5, because an E minor is 4, 4, 3, 2 when you fret all 4 strings. But here it's a D minor shape raised 2 frets. And then from there we're going to the A. And again on that A chord we've got that little embellishment of a suspended fourth that you put on and take off. And the best way to do that is on your A chord, use your ring finger to double fret the C string so that you can put it on and take it off. Right. Or if you really want to enhance the climax at the end of that fourth line, you play your A further up. And the way to do that is you take a G shape, 0, 2, 3, 2, and slide it up 2 frets, so we've got 0, 4, 3, 4. Now that is actually an A 7th. So up to you, you can either not play the 4th string because that's a G, and especially on a low G, that low G note there is rather obtrusive, so best try not to play it. On Pam's high G, it doesn't make as much of an effect, so if you play that A at 0, 4, 5, 4, see the G isn't quite as intrusive there, so. But you can do the suspension up there as well, exactly the same as you would with a G sus. Just put your little finger down on the 5th fret of the A string and take it off again. So we get either that 4th line, Pam, 3, 4, F, and if you're wondering what this all is leading to, that's in the first positions. And if we do it again with that E minor 7th and A suspended up on the second position, it goes like this: 2, 3, 4. And if you're wondering what this all is leading to, and then we go from there to a G7 suspended. I want to make it, so we're going back into the key of C. And so that's quite a, from A, you're going either from the A to a G7 sus, or from that A to a G7 sus, whichever works for you. And then the last line of the verse, the fifth line, it's actually the repeating line. I want to make it with you. Is that G7 suspended, 0213, with you, and then maybe a plain C chord rather than the major seventh works better here, because we've heard an awful lot of that B note. So let's get back to a plain C, then a plain F. I really think that we could. Then we go back to the C major seventh, because we've got that B note in the melody. So we get, I really think that we could make it. Okay, that's the end of the first verse, and then we've got just a little turnaround there, which is not difficult, but it's tricky because it's quick chord changes.
Could I chip in?
Yes, of course.
Okay, when you're going from the G sus, your finger is already in place to play the C, so leave your little finger where it is, and then just drop your fingers in, leaving that little finger in to go to the F. So your little finger doesn't need to move at all.
Yes. Pam's very good at working out little things like that. So we've got
because I'm not very good.
We've got a G7 sus to a C to an F, and your little finger can stay there for all of those. Okay.
I'm lazy. I like leaving.
That's true, and it does act as an anchor. So the little turnaround is 4 different chords, but 1 beat on each of them, and it's an F, an E minor, a D minor, and then that G7 suspended. But it's 1 beat on each, so it's 2, 3, 4. I got it wrong then. Let me try that again.
Yeah, all right.
2, 3, 4. See, I can do it when I'm not under pressure. So it's the really quick one is actually half a beat from an F to an E minor. Or so I had to practice that, and I still don't get it right every time. So you probably will need to practice as well. Okay, then we go into the second verse, which is exactly the same as the first. Musically, structurally, so all those chords and all those little embellishments apply to the second verse just as much as the first. And then there is only the verse melody. There's no bridge. What we've got are 3 verses with an instrumental after the second verse, and the instrumental is on the same chord structure as the first 2 lines of the verse. So it's C major 7th, D minor 7th, but again we're adding that little ninth. That by adding a ninth, we're actually taking off the index finger from a D minor 7th, just to get that melody E note in there. So that's happening in the chord accompaniment to the instrumental break. As far as a lead goes, well, on the Bread record we get strings coming in there, doing a slightly sort of a counter melody really. But if we're a ukulele group, then the strings that we've got don't really work like that. So I would say make up your own introduction or instrumental break based on the melody, which is what I'll be doing when we do the play along at the weekend. So if you'd like to play through those chords for the instrumental break, I'll do something like what I might be doing over it as a solo break, which is again where the solid bodied electric comes into its own. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, at the end of the instrumental break there we have a G7 suspended. I've shown it in brackets just to indicate that the vocal actually comes in over the end of the instrumental break. So that G7 sus is underneath "Baby, you know that," and then we get to the verse. So at the end of the instrumental break there, the vocal comes in just at the end of it. But you'll see how it all fits together if you watch the play along. Okay, then we get to the third verse, which is only half the length of the other verses. And all exactly as before, including that little climax on the A, until we get to the very, very end of the song. And then there's a little kind of coda, but it's an instrumental coda, rather than just try to do a fade. And the little instrumental coda at the end goes from "I really think that we could make it, girl." That's where the vocal stops. And then we have an F6, which is a 4-string bar on the 5th fret, followed by an F major 7th, which is 5-5-5-7. So we've got that, and then we repeat that as a tone down. So we've gone, and then we do, and we do that over a G7 suspended. So it's, you'll need to stretch your little finger up to the 5th fret of the A string. And then we finish on a plain C for 1.5 bars, and then end on a C major 7th. Now you can end your C major, do your end E major 7th, a C major 7th, like that, if you want, but it's a nicer effect if you play 0-7-7-7. And there's a C major 7th. If you've got that intrusive low G like I have, and you don't want that, there is a way around it, but it's not particularly easy. You need to bar the 5th fret, as you would for an F6, all 4 strings, and then bar the 7th fret with, I use my ring finger, which gives you the C note there, which is less intrusive than that low G. But it takes a bit of fingering, and the tendons in your hand will probably protest. I think that's about everything, isn't it?
It is. Yep. Just play the F with the added C all the way through the song.
Yep.
Yep.
Right, well that's that then. We'll have the play-along version will come out at the weekend. We've got another comic song coming along for you on Friday, and it looks like we're going to be continuing with these songs every week until we come out of lockdown finally on June the 21st. So I think we've got about another 6 of these to go. I'm sure we'll think of something.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but for now that's all from us. So let's say goodbye. Stay safe, be kind to each other, take care of yourselves. You know what to do. So until we meet again, it's goodbye from Pam.
Bye.
And it's goodbye from me. Bye-bye for now.